Forte Experience is coming back to DC. It's an all-white rooftop experience. It's not like your normal networking event. It's a network party. Come socialize, come break bread, come learn how to grow, scale, and make more efficient your business. Get your tickets now. www.theforteexperience.com www.theforteexperience.com. You don't want to miss out. See you there.
Welcome to the Forte Podcast. I am your co-host, Dominic Epps.
And I'm your co-host, Randall Monfiston.
And we are here to dive into your lane of greatness to discover what comes easy for you that may not be easy for all others.
Everyone's a genius, from the 9-to-5 employee to the Fortune 500 billionaire. We're here to highlight those attributes through dialogue and interviews with amazing guests.
So, what's your forte?
What's your forte?
Boom. Hey, we here, man. Listen, we here. We have an amazing guest on today's show, you all. I'm so excited because he was at last year, the first of the Forte Experience. And it's just an honor to have him here. So, Randall, passing the mic over to you, brother. Let's go.
Yes. So another amazing guest. We keep on elevating our guests that come on to the Forte Podcast. So today's guest is a life insurance guru. That's right, guru. Sold out servant, Chris Hart. Come off mic and tell people what's your forte.
Man, how's it going, man? How's it going? Dominic, how you doing too, brother? My forte, man, I run a financial marketing organization tied to the life insurance industry. And part of what I do is I help educate an underserved community on life insurance. The life insurance industry is old, archaic. The average agent is a 61-year-old white male. Nothing wrong with that, but he's leaving behind a lot of people. Gen Zs, millennials, Gen Xers, women and minorities. So my focus is really teaching that niche market, not very niche, it's a big market, about money and finances and life insurance particularly.
Hey, Chris, let me say this out the gate, bro. That poster or that what's behind you, I need that. So let me know where you got it from. Send me the link of where you got it from. Yes, sir, man. Prove them wrong, man.
Always prove them wrong.
Yeah,
man.
that's dope, man. That's dope. Randall, I'm not sure if you see that. But
Yeah, I seen it. I didn't pay attention. I'm looking at the camera, but once you said it, I looked over. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that.
How did you do that?
Oh man, I played football. My mom's from Hattiesburg originally, and so I was looking at schools to go to, man. It was close to family, so I went there, man. But went there, it was a good experience, man. Got homesick, man. I was flying back and forth, man. Weekends to go see my girlfriend in Cali, man. Swiping on credit cards. You know, back then you're a kid, you think credit cards just pay themselves back. I'm like, well, what's this big? What's this big?
Right.
I thought it was free money.
Right.
And so I ended up coming back home and transferring to school in California.
Okay, gotcha. And played football there?
Yeah, I played football there for a year, and then I ended up dropping out.
Okay. What position?
I played safety.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
I see that you got a lot of like meanings behind you when it comes to not only the board behind you or the portrait behind you, but sold out servant. It sounds like there's a meaning, or it seems like there's a meaning about that. Kind of explain to me, how did you come to choose your agency's name to be called Sold Out Servant?
Yeah, for sure, man. Good eye there, man. I sold out servant to me embodies my roots and where I come from. And so I was born in a house. I'm a PK. So I'm a pastor's kid. Stepdad was a pastor. My mom was an evangelist. If you know what an evangelist is, man, they're serious hardcore, man. My mom had a bullhorn, right? A bullhorn at the front door as a kid. And she would have that ready to go because on Saturday mornings, we'll go out to LA. I'm born and raised in Compton, California, so LA County. We'll go to South Central, man, rolling 60s, man, Hoover, all types of areas, man. And she would go lay on prostitutes, drug addicts, gangbangers, man. I was a kid, 8, 9 years old, Randall, watching that as a kid, man. I really bit the part playing ball, but I'm my mom. And so she was a servant leader, man, always involved in the church. My dad did some time in the pen back in the late 70s, early 80s. When he got out, he had a passion for men getting out of prison. And so we had homes for men getting out of prison. We had a lot of things, a lot of 501c. Here's the thing, man, we were servant leaders, right? We would serve, give, but we were broke. And so it's kind of where my roots come from having a servant heart. And so we're sold out servants. I believe that you can make money and serve at the same time. And so my business model really is serve to earn. And I believe in business, those who serve them the most genuinely can make the most money in the right capacity, in the right lane. So hence the name sold out servant. I felt I'm the number one sold out servant in the business space.
Man, I love that, man. And I think that because you named it like that, it's keeping you grounded to always reflect on what you have mission statements for your business, but it's in the name, right? It's in the name. You can't forget it. You see it
Yep.
every day, right?
Yep.
Every day you see it. So it's kind of reminding you. It's like that like words of affirmations, like to keep it in your mind. Like, this is why I show up. This is why I'm doing calls at 9, 10 o'clock at night when people are done with their 5 to 9 to be able to
Yep.
serve, right? So that's dope. That's dope. So many people or the viewers audience are not going to know this, but you said that you were in Cali, but now you live in Maryland. So how did you come from being in the Cali side to now how you go West Coast to East Coast?
Yeah, man. Crazy how it happened, man. So obviously, I run an insurance agency. It was founded. I started in Los Angeles, California. My first 5, 6 years, I was building an agency in California, and my model is very different from particular models. It's not a retail model. It's more of an FMO, financial marketing organization. So I'm always recruiting, finding new licensed agents, man, getting them trained up. And I was on LinkedIn, and I met a guy named Bill Corman, man. Bill Corman is one of my best friends now. We met him on LinkedIn. He was a Navy guy. He was a corpsman in the Navy.
Who
He was
ya? Who ya?
yeah,
Come on.
yeah. That's right. One of your seamen
Yeah.
shipmates there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes on board to the agency from Maryland. I'm in Cali. And at the time he's working at the Naval Academy, the hospital there in Annapolis. And his main goal was to make some money part-time work for me. So he comes on board. I'm flying out here from Maryland for workshops and trainings. I'm flying back and forth. Miranda, man, I fell in love with Maryland. Fell in love with PG County. Fell in love with Howard County. I fell in love with this area, man. You would think that California is diverse. It's not quite diverse at all, man. Just especially in my community, 9% of the population in California is African American. And of that 9% of the population, unfortunately, there's not a lot of us thriving, doing well. There's not a lot of vibrant communities. And so when I first came here, I'm running appointments in Bowie. I'm in Upper Marlboro. I'm like, hey, and people are telling me these are black communities. I'm like, I know it may sound ignorant. I'm like, this isn't a black community. Yeah, it is. Nah, it can't be because I never saw it before. I'm at that time 35 years old. I'm a grown man. I've
Yeah.
never seen a prominent black community. Maybe Ladera Heights in LA, a small
Yeah.
community. But so for me, I fell in love with it, man. And so I kept flying back and forth. Business blew up out here in the East Coast. It got to a point to where 65% of my revenue came from the East Coast. I was back and forth every other weekend. So to my wife and kids, I said, hey, babe, let's make that move. And so we transitioned slowly. I came out here back and forth, got out here for about 6 months, and the wife and kids came eventually.
Got you. And from a demographic kind of standpoint, for those who are not aware, like the Prince George County, Upper Marlboro, Maryland, not until recent years, but for decades, they've been like the number one African American like wealth as far as like the neighborhoods are concerned, right? So it makes sense that you came out here, you've seen like I see the homes, but I can't believe that these homes are majority African American owned, right? So I get that, right? Especially if you're coming from the Compton and you only seeing like the smaller, like the single. Yes, I get that, right? So yeah, man, like kudos to you for making that pivot to come out here and dive into a whole new market. So what I want to get into is kind of like you touched on it, right? When it came to your childhood and seeing what your mom and your dad did as far as being a servant. Um, how did that play into your like when you became an adult, right? Did you know that that's what your lane was to always be a servant? Did you do anything before you tried insurance? Like, kind of walk us through the kid under your parents to now I'm adult to if you did something. What was that before you chose to become in the insurance game industry?
I mean, so for me, I mean, right out of high school, man, I played some college ball in Mississippi. Ended up transferring back home to the school in California. And I ended up dropping out of school. I did about 2.5 years of college, man. Had some issues with grades. I mean, I transferred back to California. I went to a JUCO, and I started working a job, man. I worked at a job. I had a job at a company called Circuit City, old school Circuit City, man, big red box retailer. If you're all familiar with that, if you're
Yeah.
over age 30, maybe 30, you know where Circuit City is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Worked there. They went out of business in '08, and that housing market crash and the crisis, the real estate crisis. They went out of business. Went from job to job, man. Worked out Hollywood Video. I didn't have a degree, so I didn't have a lot of prospects. And then eventually I went to go work at a company called Apple. Apple. I worked in the retail space, and then got blessed to be have an opportunity to work as a business manager at Apple. And I thought I landed my dream job, Randall. I
Mhm.
almost got an Apple tattoo. I almost did, man. I was sold out at Apple. Working for this big company, man. Loved it. And man, but God had different plans for me, man. I was doing pretty well there, was making good money. And a buddy of mine came to me about life insurance. I was age 26. I just gotten married, and he asked, "Do you have life insurance?" I'm like, "Yeah, through my job, I'm good." He's like, "What happens when you leave your job?" I'm like, "I'll buy some more life insurance." But I don't know. Why you asking these questions, right? And so we sat down, man. Long story short, he blew me away. I became a client. I kept giving him referrals. I became passionate about teaching people about money and finances, my
Mhm.
siblings. So I'm giving him referrals, brother, sister. And one day I just asked him, I said, "What are you making off these referrals, man?" He had made like something around $7,000 off like 2 clients. I'm like, whoa,
Mm.
money part-time. And so I decided to give it a shot part-time, and had no aspirations of becoming an agency owner, just making a little part-time income. And a year into it, man, I met a guy who changed my life. A guy named Patrick Bet David. He has a podcast, the PBD podcast, Value Tainment podcast. And Patrick changed my life, man. He was the owner of the agency that I was with at the time, and he really helped put me on track to becoming a better businessman. Seeing the big picture of what I can do long term here.
Mm. Got you. So how hard of that was because like for the viewers, they've heard this from previous podcasts. Like I do the 9 to 5, regular W-2, and then I do my entrepreneur stuff on the side, right? And it sounds like you were doing both at the same time. What was the breaking point, if that's what you want to use, or I want to use for the term, that kind of transition you like, all right, Apple, I'm done with. I'm going like, was it you meeting Pat Bet David and hearing and seeing his vision and be like, I want to follow suit with this and fully jump in, or were you a little bit hesitant to begin with, and then over time you gradually decided, all right, let me make that full pivot?
I wish it was that smooth, man. It was a bumpy ride, man. So I initially first year in insurance, I killed it, man, and made some great money, like 45K part time. I figured, man, 45K part time. If I go full time, I'll double it. Right?
Yeah,
That's how it should work.
yeah.
I left my job at Apple, made $9,000 the following year in insurance sales.
Man.
Had a wife and a kid at home. Was devastated. Had to go back to work. Had to go back to work, and I couldn't go back to Apple. Kind of left like, "Hey, I'm out. I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
I fired my boss. So I'll see you later, sucker." Right?
yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't that bad, but I ended up getting a job, man. Paid me almost. I mean, not pay me crumbs, man. And but you know what's crazy about entrepreneurship, because in that year it was 2015. 2015 was the roughest year of my life, the toughest year of my life, and the best year of my life.
mm,
It got to a point to where I was living at home with my in-laws. My wife and I are on the couch. We got a kid, man. It's crazy. Like, I'm embarrassed, man. I can't pay the bills. And I'm working at a job that's not paying me much. And it's crazy. That year I read 57 books that year. My faith, I grew up in the church and I was going to church. We were church members. My faith got increased. Started going to a men's Bible study. And it's crazy how like my life was tough that year. Me and my wife were fighting. Marriage was like kind of shaky. I don't believe
mm,
in divorce though. So we fought through it. And we fought through that year, man. And since 2016 to today, our income has always increased in business.
mm,
I ended up leaving my job late 2016. Never looked back. And business has been great for us, man. But you know, it's crazy because like I believe in business and as entrepreneurship, we think entrepreneurship is just like, man, it's fun and it's exciting, it's
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Man, it's a grind, man, and it's not all about the destination. It's the process as you get to the destination. And I realized that in 2015, that was the process for me to really refine my skills on who I was, and really like just refining my overall skills. And the heat made the best of me, man. And so when I look back now, like you can't break me. I mean, 2015 cars getting repoed, credit card debt, man, credit score 480. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can't break me now, man. So I'm actually happy for the pain that happened in 2015. It sounds crazy looking back because now it's tough for me for business, man, to be able to go into the business space and be successful in what I'm doing.
Absolutely. I love the quote that I've heard. I don't remember who I got it from, but success is a journey, not a destination, right? You're constantly growing. Once you stop, then you're not succeeding no more. You just rested on your laurels, right? You're stagnant, right?
Yep.
So I love that you were able to push through, especially from the marriage standpoint. I understand that you got the business that's struggling, and then you got your marriage struggling. So, kudos to you to be able to like just put those both on your shoulders and still weather the storm and fight through, man. That's a true testament to your character. And so when I think of life insurance, right? I think of life insurance just from the standpoint if something happens to me, if I pass away in between now and either I'm trying to grow my estate or my portfolio, or if I die when I'm of old age at 80, 90, I have something to pass to my children. Um, Recent times, and even from you, I've heard that there's ways to strategize or utilize your life insurance to still grow, but then
Yep.
use it now to grow in a different vehicle. Can you touch on some of those different opportunities that people have to be able to capitalize both ways? To think long
Absolutely.
term as well as current day.
Absolutely. I have to address what you said earlier, man, because most of us believe that life insurance is only provided to cover a liability. And some truth to that. An old school way of thinking is, hey, go get a term policy. It's super inexpensive. Get it in your early mid 20s. In 30 years, that term expires. You're now approaching 60. Your house is paid off. The kids are out the house. They're grown. They're good. You got a lot of cash in stocks, mutual funds, EFTs, ETFs. And
Mhm.
guess what? No divorces ever happened. Here's a problem with that, man. I love term insurance. It's inexpensive. It covers a liability if I die at a young age. But here's a problem. I meet too many people that subscribe to that old school philosophy. It's a Dave Ramsey philosophy, financial peace, all that kind of stuff. And the problem is, right now, we both know in America that half the marriages end in divorce.
Mhm.
I get divorced at age 45, 48, 39. Split the 401k in half, split our assets in half, sell the house.
Yep.
Now I'm 42. I find a new wife. She wants a kid. Now I'm 45. I got a new mortgage. I have a kid. I have a term policy I bought 20 years ago that expires in 10 years. That 10-year policy won't cover my newborn child and my new 30-year mortgage. So what do I do? At age 55, 57, 58, I end up needing more insurance. And now I'm 58 years old. It's a
Yeah.
little more expensive. And so
Yeah.
that term policy didn't cover me my entire life. And so I'm a big fan of term and permanent policy solutions, man, where they both come together. And you get a big term policy to cover your liabilities. You get a small permanent policy to cover just in case life happens. I'm still insured post age 55, 65, 70. But even with that being said, you mentioned another side of life insurance.
Mhm.
Insurance is one of the best places to build wealth. Which is really five options to build wealth out there. The first option is the bank. You can't build wealth in the bank. You got
Mhm.
the stock market, right? Your ETFs, mutual fund stocks. You got
Yeah.
qualified plans, or TSP, or IRA, Roth IRA, and then you got real estate, which is a very good, great place to build wealth. And you got life insurance. The challenge is we're just not being taught that concept, man. We're not being taught. We hear things like the Rockefellers, what they
Yeah.
do, the Vanderbilts, the Rothschilds, and we say, oh, that's for the wealthy. For the why the wealthy? Why can't we do it? And so we, at my firm, we specialize on structuring insurance policies from a wealth building perspective, where we lower the cost of insurance as low as legally possible. The IRS has a tax law that allows you to put money into an insurance policy and put money out tax free.
Mhm.
You touch it if you're sued, bankruptcy, divorce. This is a viable product that I should look at if I'm somebody looking to build wealth, and it grows tax free. My Roth IRA option in America is what, $7,000 a year in the Roth. The IRS limits what I can put into a Roth by $7,000 a year. If I'm age 50, 8,000 for a catch-up provision. Why is there a limit on what I can save tax free? But in life insurance, there's no limit. And
Mhm.
so I don't care if you're my son who's 2 years old, he has a policy, $1,800 a year. We put into his policy, max funded. At age 10, randomly, we can stop funding it. It's funded for life.
Mm.
I don't care if you're a 60-year-old client who says, hey, I'm 6 years old, Chris, I need some insurance, I need some long-term care. Fund your policy for 5 years. Stop funding at retirement age 65. It's funded for life. There's unique ways and ways to fund policies that just aren't always taught. And I think the biggest challenge in our industry, man, I can speak being in the industry for over a decade as an advocate for it, that we're just not properly trained. Even insurance agents, I'm pointing at ourselves on what
Yeah.
to offer clients. And it's a very wealthy industry. It's a lot of money and money. And
Yeah.
sometimes, man, I'm a capitalist. I'm all about capitalism, but your typical insurance agent isn't always equipped and trained on what to provide when it comes to building wealth and insurance policies.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That was a lot, and in the 3, 4 minutes you were speaking, and I didn't even think about the fact of how you just broke it down when it comes to like the well, not the hybrid. What I was about to say, like
The term.
you pay it for a certain amount of time, and then it's basically it's self-sustained. I didn't even think about that. I'm always thinking that you got to constantly pay into it until you get
Oh,
to the max amount.
one of my first, I asked a client, I do conceptual sales, and so I just teach and educate. I tell a client, I ask a client, a permanent insurance policy, how long are you required to make payments? They all say for life. It's
Yeah,
not true. So you've been told that by your insurance broker or agent, but it's not true. If you capitalize on early years when you're young, you're 45, you're 50, you're 35, and you max fund that policy, it can sustain itself for life. Pay it for 10 years, 7 years, 5 years. Now that's not very attractive to us because around it doesn't pay the best commissions. So
got it, got it, got it.
uh,
That's why they're not advertising it, right? Or they're not advertising because they're not looking to learn about stuff that doesn't make them more money, right? That could be it right
exactly.
there.
I
So
always
help me
like
understand, huh?
go ahead.
Now, so help me understand how does it self-sustain, right? Because like whole life insurance, you say that, hey, you're trying to what 7x whatever your income is now in case something happens, right? So they take your current salary and say, okay, you need to get to $2.5 million, $3 million, right? So I'm able to fund it for 10 years and then it's self-sustained to the point that it builds up still to that 2.5, 3 million. What am I losing by
Yeah.
stopping and just allowing it to be self-sustained?
So the first thing is this: you would never get a whole life policy for 2.5 mil. If you do,
Okay.
you're overpaying for insurance. You're paying for 2.5 mil forever. You're saying I'm not going to build any wealth or pay off any houses. That's too expensive.
Okay.
You will get a term policy for 2 mil,
Uh-huh.
a whole life for 500,000 because
Okay.
so term is cheap.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Now whole life, whole life is great, but it doesn't work in that capacity. Whole life is like, how do I explain it? Like the Affordable Health Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
Obamacare was passed, right? Was a great thing because it said this here. I have an 80-year-old client and 20-year-old client. They both need health insurance. The 80-year-old client's older. He's on medication. The 20-year-old kid never comes to the hospital. We're
Yeah.
going to drop premiums for the 80-year-old client, but increase it for the 20-year-old kid
To average
to
it
help,
out. Got
to help level off the cost
yeah.
of health insurance. That's what whole life does. It says, hey, Randall, you're younger right now. Boom, you're younger. In 40 years, you'll be older.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make your policy cheaper in 40 years, but cost more now to level it off. It's a fixed rate of insurance. It's level across your entire lifetime.
Yeah.
IUL is different. Index Universal Life is different. It says, hey, man, today you're young. You'll be older in 40 years. What we'll do is this. Your policy will be expensive in later years. Today's dirt cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You maximize when it's cheaper and you put more cash into the policy. Keeping the math simple, your policy is $100 a month.
Yeah.
Dollars is insurance costs. $90 is going towards the S&P 500 growing well for you.
Okay.
What starts to happen here is that your policy has so much cash in it, Randall. It's
Yeah.
sustaining itself because of the compounding interest tied to the S&P 500. Because you capitalize on younger years and put enough cash into the policy and kept costs extremely low. And so when people see that, they're like, whoa, they're blown away by it. But here's the downside to it for me. I get paid to sell life insurance, not to build wealth. So if I drop your cost of insurance to $10, what happens to my commission?
It drops too. Yeah.
Drops.
Yeah.
That 90% cash being built for you has no impact on my commission. And so again, you don't always get clients who see the big picture long term. Like you said, my name is Sold Out Survey embodies it. I believe that if you sell through your clients, not to sell through, if you take care of your clients, give them the best possible solution to build wealth. I mean, you'll get their cousin, brother, sister, aunt, wife, fiance, mom, everybody. You make more money long term by
From the
taking a small
referrals.
hit. Yep.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Man. Like, and there's one podcast right now, bro. You just sold me on what I need to go get. I know you were talking about before. Real, actually, let's talk about that, right? So you've been steady at our Forte experience, May 4th, 2024. Chris is gonna be there as a mastermind panelist, and he's also gonna be in the room for the network party. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, early bird is going to end soon. I don't know when this is gonna air, so you're probably already gonna miss it. But either way, you don't want to miss Chris in the room to be able to dive into your specific situation and how he can help you. He's already telling you the full gamut. He's not just giving you the stuff that's going to make him better in immediate. He's looking for what's going to help you out, right? So I know last year you were mentioning about how you could leverage the IUL for real estate, right? And you mentioned one of those is wealth building. So we're able to take two different things at the same time and be able to build. So can you touch on that, on how you're able to use your life insurance policy now to feed in tax-free, mind you, into your real estate?
Yeah, so life insurance. So crazy concept here. Say I have a client who's a real estate investor. All right, two classes of clients: a real estate investor, or a client that's just saving up money for a down payment for a house. They're like, hey, Chris, I'm in the market to buy a house next year in 2 years. A client can take 10 grand, $15,000, $20,000 that they have in cash, right? They can dump into a property structured index universal life insurance policy. Now, why would someone put $20,000 into life insurance? Well, first of all, they're not paying for life insurance. The insurance costs them $1,500 a year.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're putting money into a policy that's falling under the umbrella of life insurance now, under that tax code 7702. They put in $20,000 into the policy. 3 days later, the policy's issued. They take out 18 grand as a loan from the death benefit as collateral, not the cash. So why is that collateral? Because if they die tomorrow, the company gives them 18 grand less. They're not dying tomorrow.
Got it.
They get that 18 grand, they buy a hard asset, a property, a business, which is going to cash for them, put money and build wealth for them. The $20,000 deposit into that account continues to compound interest tied to the S&P 500 uninterrupted. That's arbitrage at its best term, but we aren't taught that concept. And why would someone do that? And how do you do that? I've got dozens and dozens of clients who do it every year. A lot of my clients are real estate investors. They use their money twice. Imagine your money sitting here growing tied to Apple's performance, Amazon, Nvidia, Tesla, Uber, American Express. It's growing.
So the money that you put into that IUL, is there any tax deduction like you would do if you was doing like a 401k?
It's not no tax deduction, so it's after tax dollars. Consider a Roth. A Roth.
Okay.
They call it IUL, the rich man's Roth, because a Roth has a cap of $7,000 a year.
Yeah.
This you could put 20,000 into it a year, 30,000. There's no cap. So anyone who has capital investments, money, cash, they love the concept of being able to put money into a policy that grows tax free. You have tax free access to it.
Got it. So this hand right here is the vehicle that has 20,000. It's still growing according to S&P 500, which on average is 10%, just for everybody that's who's not following how stocks work, right? So historically, the past 40, 50 years, the S&P 500 on average is 10%. So Dave Ramsey, I know you're not a fan of him, but he says if you do $100 a month into any type of vehicle index fund that's averaging 10% annually in 40 years, there's no reason why you're not a millionaire. So think about that same concept, right? You got a vehicle, you put $20,000, offer it, jump $20,000. That S&P 500 keeps on going. You're still able to borrow it. Like, so you're your own bank now. You're your own bank right now. You're able to borrow against your own money, right? So how does that look? So the money that you pay against that loan, is that adding on top or that's just replacing?
It's adding on top. So your compound interest, that's the key.
Oh,
that's the key. The compound interest continues to compound as if you didn't touch it. And that's why you can pay it for 10 years, Randall. Because if you understand compound interest in the S&P, you pay it for 10 years, it keeps going. It keeps going.
You could do this multiple times?
Yep.
Or would it makes sense to have just one and you just keep on putting the same? Or once you put your initial into one, it makes sense just to get another one and put initial into that. Like what's the strategy you recommend?
Based off structuring, you want to keep cost of insurance down. So you get a policy that you know you can fund. Like I know I can put in 10 grand a year. I can put in 15 grand a year based off my income, my revenue, my goals, because the bigger the policy, the bigger the insurance, the bigger the cost of insurance and fees.
Got it.
You want to be the purpose here is not getting a big insurance policy with the lowest possible policy, 100K, quarter mil, 195, 180, because you want to maximize that tax code. But then the IRS isn't crazy. This is tax avoidance. You can't do tax evasion. You can't say, hey, I'm an NFL professional, man. I play in the league, and I want to dump $5 million into a policy for a 100K death benefit. You cannot put $5 million into a 100K death benefit.
Got it.
$5 million cash. You gotta have a $7, $8, $9 million policy. That's gonna cost you some money, but it costs to be the boss. If you have it, you have it.
Yeah. Okay, man. Hey, if y'all listening, if y'all watching, matter of fact, Chris, how can people get in contact with you to book a call so this way they could get this information, yo?
Absolutely. Guys, my Instagram is probably my best option. Instagram, it's sold out servant. That's my handle on my Instagram. And if you actually just DM me, you can DM me really wealth. You DM me wealth, you'll get put into our system automatically. I have one of my colleagues reach out to you. DM the capital letters wealth will help you just learn more about this concept. Our main goal here is education, man. So we will conceptually educate you first on how money works and how it grows. And from there, I believe the best client is an educated and informed client.
And something that I didn't even think about that, or I forgot to touch on once you said your colleagues, like Chris has his own agency. So not only if you choose to, like you can just come here and just get information on how to grow your own individual wealth portfolio through life insurance, but he also has a whole bunch of agents under him. Like I don't know, like I walked into this meet and greet, there's at least 30 or 40 of them. I don't know if that's the true count, but I feel like there's 30, 40 people, and I'm like, man. Chris is the most laid back, non-stressful person I know. They got 30 or 40 different agents he got to keep track of, man. Like you would not like we go to the same gym, yo. He just seemed like he just came from the damn beach on a surfboard or something like that, man. I'm like, bro, I need to tap into whatever Zen or meditation you doing, man. Cause I'll be
Oh,
stressed, yo. That's why these grades is here, man. That's why
uh,
these grades is here, yo. So if you don't want to do, or if you want to do in addition to, you can also do what Chris is doing. You could become an agent yourself and be able to help the people around you. And like he mentioned, he was telling somebody else all the cousins that he had. So you could go tell all the cousins that you have, and then be able to make money off the same policies that Chris is sharing with you in this conversation. So two things before we end this podcast is we always ask our guests what are the 1 5 year goals for their company or for their business. So in your case, sold out servant, what are you seeing 1 year, 5 years from now?
A couple different goals for our business, man. My business is actually also my ministry, and I know we didn't talk a lot about that. I'm super involved in my church, and so I look at my number, my return on investment from a cash flow, but also my eternal return on investment, man. And so, for me overall, from a business perspective, revenue wise, our goal this year, man, the next 12 months, this year really is to crack $8 million in total revenue, which would be a great win for us. $8 million in total revenue. Our EBITDA is around 20%, and so 8
You
mil
said your
in
what was the word you just said?
our total profits.
Okay.
Total profits, yeah, our EBITDA total profits. And
Okay.
so at 8 mil revenue, wife's and I's take home will be around 2 mil. And so that's a revenue income goal we want to make business wise. And of course, it's different metrics type of that. But overall, really, we want to crack 100 baptisms at our church. And so 100 baptisms in our church in the next year. That's the next year goal because, man, too much is given, much is expected. And for me, man, not to get off track or anything, but man, you know, in this business, in life, when you make money, you do well, you have a low influence, right? And I'm a millennial, my late 30s, I'll be 40 in about 2 years. And I got Gen Zs in my office, guys who follow me. And if I say, hey, let's go to this place, they'll go. If I say, hey, we're going to church on Sunday, man, after we got brunch, they'll go. And so
Yeah.
people know me, I love God, I honor my wife, I love my kids. That's what I do. A lot of my strength, man, I always say my success formula is hard work. Hard work plus grace times favor is success. Hard work, man. You gotta be you gotta work hard to be put in position. I'm in position. Now the grace and the favor in my life accelerates me. And so my story has been a lot of hard work, man, but a lot of favor and grace. Things just happen to me that I can't explain, that just helped me grow in business. And that's because God's blessed me. And then our 5 year plan, man, is to have we currently have 3 offices in the DMV. So the next 5 years, our goal is to go to 8 offices in the DMV. I want to open an office in Bowie next 12, 18 months. Columbia, I want to be in Towson area. And really from that point there, from our team, really be doing around 20 million a year in revenue as a team. And so
Nice.
we done some great things that happened for us, man. My wife and I our IPO and Integrity partners with Integrity right now. And so Integrity is a company that is a behemoth of an insurance company that we partner with and what we're doing here in the DMV. And so I'm excited about just the possibilities, and there'll be some things coming out soon. Also, some pretty cool announcements coming out in the next month or so about our partnership.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So I look forward to you being back on the Forte podcast when we got like 1 million plus subscribers, so you could share how you at the 10, $20 million mark, right? And we all elevated.
Oh
Let's
yeah,
get it. Let's get it, man.
Well, listen, man, we definitely appreciate you, man. Appreciate your story. Appreciate your grind, man. Because as you know, there's not that many of us in your industry, right? And Forte. So to have somebody like yourself and that's young enough to speak to, our demographics and to speak to people as a whole in regards to insurance and how powerful it is, I think that's tremendous. And studying Black history, right? Black Wall Street history, I found that O.W. Gurley and J.B. Stratford, they used insurance as a means to obtain their wealth.
Yep.
And so, like back in the 1900s, that's how they were able to amass the 40 acres, right? And all the great things that took place in the Greenwood district of Tulsa, Oklahoma, as well as in Florida and Durham, North Carolina, right? And so they found the key through insurance. So for us, today's community look at insurance as a, it's only about a death benefit, right? It's only for people that can afford it. But what they understood is that you really use life insurance for your life and not for your death. Yep. So educating our community doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Appreciate it.
Man, that's good. That's real good, man. So Chris, again, thanks for taking your time. Thanks for sharing your story. Hopefully inspiring others who may be interested. Not only if they're looking to get into the life insurance game, but also if they're not looking to get a life insurance game, just how to start creating financial wealth, right? It doesn't take somebody to have $1 million, right? You can just start with a couple $100, $50, if that's all you got. But just start. And then over time, as he said, it's compound interest. In 10, 15 years, that $100 will turn to 10,000, 20,000, and so on and so forth, right? So just start, man. Prove them wrong. All right, y'all, we out of here.
Let's go.
Hey guys, don't forget May 4th at the Forte Experience. I'll be at the mastermind as a panelist, answering questions, really showing you how I got involved in the insurance industry, going from part-time to full-time to running a multi-million-dollar business. But not just that, also showing you how do you build wealth in insurance, how do you leverage insurance for investing into businesses, into real estate, and really building your wealth and compounding over time.